The meaning of soft skills can sometimes be difficult to describe. It can be that unique attribute or characteristic that facilitates great communication. It can be the special way that you show confidence in a challenging situation. These and other events can become more easily managed with this great workshop. With our 10 Soft Skills You Need workshop, your participants will begin to see how important it is to develop a core set of soft skills. By managing and looking at the way people interact and seeing things in a new light, your participants will improve on almost every aspect of their career.
10 Soft Skills You Need. Module 1, Getting Started. Having the technical skills and knowledge to successfully execute your job duties is only one part of being the best you can be in the workplace. In addition to these hard skills, we also need soft skills. Soft skills are those skills which allow us to effectively work with others. No matter what your position, organization, or industry, you work with people. Taking the time to build effective soft skills can contribute to a more efficient, more harmonious, and more productive workplace, as well as to your own overall job happiness and satisfaction. Module 2, What are soft skills? What are soft skills anyway? Simply put, soft skills are the personal attributes that allow us to effectively relate to others. These skills enhance our personal interactions and lead to greater job performance and satisfaction. Unlike hard skills, which are the technical and knowledge skill set we bring to our work, soft skills are interpersonal and can be applied in a broad array of situations. Soft skills encompass both personality traits, such as optimism, and abilities which can be practiced, such as empathy. Like all skills, soft skills can be learned. Definition of soft skills. Soft skills are personal attributes that allow us to effectively relate to others. Applying these skills helps us build stronger work relationships, work more productively, and maximize our career prospects. Often we place the focus of our career development efforts on hard skills, technology skills, knowledge, and other skills that specifically relate to our ability to get work-related tasks done. This means we neglect to develop our soft skills. However, soft skills are directly transferable to any job, organization, or industry. As a result, they are an investment worth making. Soft skills include communication, listening, showing empathy, networking, self-confidence, giving and receiving feedback. Empathy and the emotional intelligence quotient. Empathy is perhaps the most important soft skill we can develop for better interpersonal interactions. Empathy is the ability to identify with another person's experience. While we often think of empathy in terms only of identifying with someone's pain or negative experience, we can apply empathy in a variety of situations. Developing empathy allows us to imagine ourselves in another person's shoes, to respond to others, and even to vicariously experience others' feelings of emotions. When we demonstrate empathy, we create connections with others which can help to build teamwork or otherwise create shared goals. Empathy also helps to forge stronger interpersonal connections between team members and colleagues, which is as important as shared goals or complementary skills when it comes to accomplishing work. Empathy is one component of what is known as emotional intelligence, or EI. Emotional intelligence is the ability to recognize and manage our feelings so that they are expressed appropriately. Exercising emotional intelligence helps to create harmonious, productive relationships. There are 4 key components to emotional intelligence. Self-awareness, the ability to recognize our own feelings and motivations. Self-management, the ability to appropriately express or not express feelings. Social awareness, our ability to recognize the feelings and needs of others and the norms of a given situation. Relationship management, our ability to relate effectively to others. Taken together, these skills make up our emotional intelligence quotient, EQI. The EQI is a measure of your ability to exercise soft skills such as empathy. Professionalism. The word professionalism often conjures up images of a cold, distant, brusque person in a nondescript navy blue suit. In fact, many people have the sense that to be professional is exactly the opposite of demonstrating empathy and emotional intelligence. However, professionalism is a key soft skill, and it doesn't require you to be inauthentic, distant, or detached. Professionalism is simply the ability to conduct yourself with responsibility, integrity, accountability, and excellence. Acting with professionalism also means seeking to communicate effectively with others and finding a way to be productive. Professionalism involves what may seem to be small acts, such as always reporting to work on time and returning promptly from breaks, dressing appropriately, being clean and neat, speaking clearly and politely to colleagues, customers, and clients, striving to meet high standards for one's own work. Learned versus inborn traits. Because soft skills are talked about as traits of a person's personality, it may seem as though you have to be born with them. While some soft skills come more easily to one person than they might to another, soft skills are not inborn. Like all skills, they can be learned. Because we all have our own preferences and ways of moving through the world, some soft skills may be more difficult to learn than others. But if we think back, there are also aspects of our hard skill set that were difficult at first, though they now seem to come quite naturally to us. We develop soft skills in the same way we develop hard skills. We practice. Spending time with people who seem to be able to effortlessly demonstrate a soft skill that you find challenging is one way to build your soft skill set. Another way is to seek opportunities to practice in which the risk of failure is low until you feel confident in your ability. You don't have to be born a networker or an empathetic person. You can learn and build these skills throughout your career.
Dee preferred to work by herself, and her position at her company allowed her to do that most of the time. Anything that got in the way of her productivity was an annoyance. She preferred to keep interactions brief so she could get back to work. Her coworker Angela mentioned that people often found Dee unapproachable. Dee wondered if this was a problem. The next day, a coworker interrupted Dee. She remembered Angela's words and tried to really listen to what he needed rather than rushing him out of her office. She realized that her coworkers wouldn't come to her until things were in crisis. She then understood that cultivating better relationships could prevent crises in the workday.
Module 3, Communication. Communication is the most important soft skill because all other soft skills are built on the ability to communicate clearly and professionally. Communication is more than just sending a message. It is also the ability to receive messages, listen actively, and hear what isn't being said. Many times we focus on learning to speak or write clearly, but this is only one component of communication, and perhaps not even the most important. Ways we communicate. Human communication is complex. The first thing that comes to mind when we hear the word communication is often words, either spoken or written. But the words we speak and hear are just one way we communicate, and some studies show that most of our communication takes place through other means. Humans communicate in many different ways. Nonverbal communication. Communication without words, such as eye contact or posture. Verbal communication. Communication with words both written and spoken. Body language. Communication through gestures, personal space, and touching. Artistic communication. Communication through images and other creative media. Musical communication. Communication through music, whether with lyrics or without. Most of us have a preferred method of communication, but all of us use these different forms at one point or another. Learning to communicate effectively in many forms helps not only when you craft your own message, but when you receive messages as well. Improving nonverbal communication. Studies show that up to 70% of the information we communicate comes through nonverbal communication gestures, eye contact, posture, personal space, and all the other ways we use our bodies to send messages. Other studies show that if a person's nonverbal communication and verbal communication don't match in terms of message, the listener is more likely to doubt what he or she is saying. Improving your nonverbal communication can help improve your overall ability to both send and receive messages. Improving your nonverbal communication starts with awareness. Pay attention to how you use your body when you are talking or listening to someone. An open stance, frequent but not continuous eye contact, nods, and a relaxed posture help to communicate that you are open and approachable, and that you are communicating honestly. A closed stance, folding your arms across your chest, staring at the floor, or refusing to make eye contact, all indicate that you are not listening or that you are not communicating openly. Shifting from foot to foot, pacing, or otherwise moving continuously indicate impatience. We do many things without thinking about them, especially when we are otherwise busy. Take time to notice both your own nonverbal communication and others, and especially your reaction to others. Listening. The ability to receive messages is as important, if not more important, than the ability to send them. Listening is more than just hearing the words someone speaks. It is a total way of receiving verbal and nonverbal messages, processing them, and communicating that understanding back to the speaker. Many of us listen in order to respond. We are formulating our next message while another is still talking. We should instead listen to understand, to fully take in, process, and comprehend the message that is being sent. Active listening is sometimes thrown around as a buzzword, but it's a valuable soft skill to develop. Active listening is a form of listening where you listen to the speaker and reflect back what you're understanding the speaker to have said. You may also give the speaker nonverbal feedback through nods of agreement and other techniques, which indicate you are listening and understanding. Active listening involves staying focused on the present both by giving the speaker your full attention and by keeping the discussion to the issue at hand. Reflect back to the speaker what you understand him or her to have said by carefully rephrasing the message, such as, "So I hear you saying that." Check for understanding and use I statements rather than you statements. Openness and honesty. Open, honest communication is the key to building workplace relationships and demonstrating professionalism. While you do not need to discuss personal or private topics in the workplace, being transparent and honest about work matters and generally being willing to communicate with others is vital. People can sense when someone is hiding something or withholding information and tend not to trust him or her. This damages workplace trust and relationships and may lead to lower productivity and morale. Each of us has a different level of comfort with what we choose to disclose about ourselves, but being willing to share parts of yourself with your colleagues also helps to build rapport.
Austin wasn't a big communicator. He liked to get to the point so that an issue could be solved immediately. He listened with his arms folded and sometimes even tapped his foot. If a person came into his office while he was working, he'd continue working while the person talked. This meant sometimes he missed important details. During his yearly review, Austin's manager told him that his coworkers felt they annoyed Austin and that he didn't listen. Austin's manager suggested he take a one-day communication course. In the course, they talked about nonverbal communication, and Austin realized how off-putting his habits were. He decided to try to be more mindful of his nonverbal communication and listening style.
Module 4, Teamwork. Even if you work fairly independently most of the time, inevitably you must also work with others. Finding ways to build teams that accomplish what needs to be done in the most efficient and accurate manner is often challenging, especially when bringing together team members with diverse sets of hard and soft skills. There are some basic techniques you can use when building or working with a team to help create a cohesive unit that leverages everyone's talents and ensures that each person contributes. Identifying capabilities. Einstein said that everyone is a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its life thinking it is stupid. When building a team, it is key to identify the different talents, skills, and capabilities each team member brings. Identifying what each team member does well and can contribute helps ensure that work is allocated in a way that takes full advantage of the talent resources on the team. Assigning a team member work that is completely outside his or her skill set is a recipe for failure. On the other hand, leveraging all the diverse capabilities, skills, and talents on your team helps you achieve the maximum results. When you build or join a team, take the time at the outset to ask each member what he or she brings to the team. What skills, abilities, and relationships does each team member have that can enhance the project? What does each person feel he or she does well? How can the team use all these talents and capabilities to achieve the best outcome? Get into your role. When you are given a role on a team, it is important to get into it. Be sure you know what is expected of you and what you can expect of others. Even if the role is a new one or a stretch for you, it is key to step into it. This also means stepping out of others' roles even if they are roles you have played before. Use your communication skills to create open, honest dialogues with your other team members so that you are all on the same page. Be clear about where your role begins and ends and be willing to assert those boundaries. Teamwork can be challenging in the best of circumstances, but it is even more so when roles are unclear. A key in creating a team is clearly outlining what each person's role is and is not. Learn the whole process. Knowing your role and stepping fully into it is a vital part of effective teamwork. At the same time, it is important not to get isolated in your own piece of the project. Learning the whole process not only ensures that you understand your own role and accountabilities, but helps you know what to expect of and from others. When you take the time to learn the whole process, it puts your work and your relationships with team members into a larger context. Knowing the whole process also means that you can help a colleague troubleshoot if problems arise, and that your colleagues can be of assistance should you need it. In the worst-case scenario, having every member of the team know the whole process means that others can step in if there is a crisis or breakdown in the project. The best way to learn the whole process is to talk to team members who are working parts of a project different from your own. Take the time to ask questions and to listen actively to the answers. This not only demonstrates that you care about the outcome of the project, but that you are interested and invested in each of your teammates' work and success. Learning the whole process helps to build collaborative relationships among team members, which helps to enhance communication and overall productivity. The power of flow. Psychologists define flow as a mental state that occurs when we are fully immersed in an activity. When we are at flow state, we are completely absorbed in what we are doing, and this produces a feeling of energized focus and enjoyment. Tapping into flow is a powerful way to increase your own productivity and the productivity of your team. We are most likely to achieve flow when we are engaged in a task to which our skills are well matched, another reason to identify the capabilities of each person on a team. Flow also comes about more easily when we have clear goals and can focus on the process rather than the end product. Perhaps the most important key to achieving flow is to minimize interruptions when you are working. When we can find the flow state, time seems to pass quickly without our noticing. We are also more likely to create accurate, high-quality work with fewer errors. Because we are focused totally on what we are doing, a flow state may be a key aspect of mastering a new set of skills. Stretching your skill set and cultivating flow can be a great tool for professional development.
Colleen worked as part of a team, but only focused on her part of the final product. She communicated with her team members as needed, but didn't really understand what each of them did. When they started a new project, the team lead, Tasha, had each person describe what their role was. As each team member described their piece of the project, Colleen began to see how it all came together. She had never thought about what had to happen before her part could be completed, or what had happened afterwards. Seeing the project as a whole made her understand more clearly what the overall goal was, and knowing what her teammates did helped her communicate with them.
Module 5, Problem Solving. No matter what your industry or your role, problem solving is part of your job. Whether the problems you encounter are big or small, you solve problems every day. Learning how to apply problem-solving skills helps not only to enhance productivity, but also helps to cultivate relationships by focusing on shared goals and solutions. Define the problem. You can't solve a problem if you don't know what it is. The first step in solving any problem should be to define the problem itself. Oftentimes, what we think is a problem is only a symptom of a larger issue. Take time to define the problem clearly, whether it's an interpersonal conflict or a hitch in a supply line. Figuring out what the problem is exactly and clearly defining it means you can move forward with solutions that will actually solve it, rather than just resolve the symptoms or temporarily stop the chaos. Taking time to define the problem is especially important if emotions are running high or interactions are getting heated. It puts the focus back on shared goals and allows for everyone to be heard. Generate alternative solutions. Once you've defined a problem, you can move on to solutions. It is important not to just choose the first solution that presents itself, nor should you push your own preferred solution to the exclusion of others. Instead, take the time to generate alternative solutions. Ask the others involved what ideas they have for solving the problem. Discuss the ways in which the alternative solutions might play out, problems they might encounter, and how any obstacles can be overcome. Apply active listening and clear communication throughout. When the group has generated many solutions, discuss which ones you would all like to move forward with. Evaluate the plans. With your list of alternative solutions generated, it is time to make plans and evaluate them. Give all alternative solutions equally fair treatment. Ask the group to brainstorm potential benefits to each alternative solution or plan. Then, work with the group to anticipate potential obstacles or problems with each plan. Based on these discussions, evaluate which plan or plans seem to offer the greatest benefit with the fewest drawbacks. Also, consider whether the necessary resources, people, time, materials, funding, are available for each proposed plan. As the plans are evaluated, it will quickly become clear which are entirely unworkable. Narrow the list until the most workable plans are found. Implementation and re-evaluation. Once the most workable plan has been chosen, it's time to implement it. It is important to communicate clearly about how the plan will be implemented, what each person's role will be, and what the goals and expected outcomes are. The other soft skills you are developing, communication and teamwork, are vital here. People must feel as though they are part of the solution if you want them to buy into it. Also, provide a timeline for the plan, including the point at which the plan will be reevaluated. Reevaluation of the plan is a step that often gets missed. Sometimes what appears to be the most workable plan on paper does not play out when put into action. It is important to take the time to reevaluate the plan once it has been implemented so you can gauge how well it's working. Depending on the results, you may need to make some changes to the plan or implement a new plan altogether. Reevaluation helps to determine whether the original problem has, in fact, been solved.
Enrique was good at fixing conflicts. His coworkers appreciated his ability to stop a situation from escalating. Eventually, he noticed that he seemed to solve the same problems over and over. His colleague, Helen, asked Enrique what his process for solving problems was. Enrique said he looked for the most pressing need and took care of it. Helen suggested that he get his team together and talk about it. Enrique thought this sounded like a good idea. When he got his team together, Enrique realized that many of the crises in the team were caused by a lack of communication and clear goals. They brainstormed ways to create open communication and clear expectations in their work.
Module 6, Time Management. We all have the same number of hours in the day, so why is it that some people seem to get so much more done? The ability to effectively manage your time is key to productivity. You may not be able to create more time in your day, but applying time management skills can help you make the most of the time you do have. The art of scheduling. We know that if we want to have a meeting, get a haircut, or see our healthcare provider, we need to make an appointment. We schedule our errands and vacations, but when it comes to our own time and work we do independently, too often we take a piecemeal approach and just do whatever comes to hand first. Taking the time to schedule work tasks, even those you do independently, helps you make better use of your time. Instead of doing work as it comes to you, take the time to slot in a block of time on your schedule for each task. Don't forget to schedule in breaks too. Scheduling makes them a priority. After all, you wouldn't just skip a doctor's appointment or other scheduled obligation. Seeing something on your schedule also helps you remember that it needs to get done. Scheduling can take some time to master. You may discover that tasks take much more or much less time than you plan for. Spend a week or so keeping track of how you spend your work time so that you can better plan ahead for how much time to schedule a given task or project. Prioritizing. Managing your priorities is key to managing your time. Taking the time to determine what is most important, whether in terms of value or in terms of completion, is the first step. Take time each day and week to determine what your priorities for the coming days are. Slot these into your schedule first. This allows you to ensure that time is blocked off and resources allocated for the most important tasks and projects. When we don't take time to set priorities, everything becomes equally urgent, which means that we move from task to task in a way that is haphazard and does not make the best use of our time or energy. Setting priorities helps ensure that you take care of the things that are most pressing or which deliver the most value. Prioritizing is especially key when working with others. If people who must work together have differing senses of what the priorities are, this can lead to miscommunication, conflict, and reduced productivity. Managing distractions. A major key to productivity, especially if you want to find a flow state, is to manage your distractions. Distractions happen. We can minimize them and manage them, but never eliminate them altogether. Creating a plan for managing distractions is a key time management skill. The first step is to determine what your major distractions are. Is it colleagues popping into your office? Is it your email or voicemail? Do you get bored with routine tasks if you have to focus on them too long? Figuring out what your major distractions are can help you brainstorm solutions and better manage them. Some common distractions are colleagues stopping by to chat, checking email or voicemail, noise in the environment, clutter in your workspace, boredom after spending too long on one task. You can solve these by establishing open door hours, closing your door or otherwise indicating please do not disturb, using noise-canceling headphones, setting a regular time to check voicemail and email, letting calls go to voicemail, decluttering your workspace, building in breaks. The multitasking myth. Multitasking is exactly what it sounds like, trying to do more than one thing at a time. Many of us multitask throughout the day, listening to a colleague while checking email, working on a document while talking on the phone. We have the idea that we get more done when we multitask or that this is the best way to maximize our time. However, studies show that 30 to 40% more time is spent when you multitask rather than when you monotask, work on one thing at a time. Multitasking also means your attention is divided, which can lead to miscommunication and errors. Multitasking can also damage relationships as it may convey that we are not really interested in what another is saying. It can be difficult to break the multitasking habit, but it is key if we are to be the best we can be.
Cliff was busy and tried multitasking several things at once but felt he could never get ahead. His coworker, Shauna, was much more laid back but always seemed ahead. She also seemed to have time to take breaks and seemed less stressed. He asked her what her secret was. "I only do one thing at a time," she said. "This way my full attention is on one thing and then I can move on to another later." She told him to try it for 1 week. He did, and found that tasks took less time than he thought they would, and he was able to work much more efficiently when he focused on one thing at a time.